This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the 5 pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. You should still all be in this trade again, which was short from 88.23 with a stop at 88.75. Prices right now about 86.90. There is a little bit of a rally here as prices did bottom out near that 86 figure, but again, I would continue to stay in this trade as that 88.40 area should be formidable resistance over the next several weeks or months, in my opinion. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and you should also all still be in this trade, which was short from 127 with a stop at 127.80. Prices right now about 125.70, so about 130 pips in the money. I would continue to stay in this trade right now and place a limit at 125.10, which is just above this longer term support line. So again, keep that stop at 127.80 and put in a limit at 125.10. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and if you were listening to the last report, I mentioned that 71.10 area, which is this horizontal white line here. I mentioned the doji and the possibility for a shorter term double top here. When I was speaking, prices were beneath the 170 figure. I mentioned that if prices did come up to either about 70.25 or 70.35, we might look to enter on the short side, placing our stop above the high of this doji candle. And after I spoke, prices actually did come up to a high of 70.30, so right in between the two areas that I said, 70.25 and 70.35. So there is a good possibility that you're in this trade right now, and if you are, I would continue to stay in the trade, again keeping your stop above the high of that doji candle. Let's call it about 71.25 is where the stop should be, and again I would just continue to stay in the trade. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and prices actually did draft a doji here, and this possibly looks like a bottom to me, and the low of the doji candle here, the only issue is that it's a little bit far away from current prices, about 46.34, and we can see prices right now about 47.17. So this is really up to each individual trader. Personally, I would not enter this trade only because prices are a little bit too far away. I would require prices to come down at least beneath that 147 figure, and we could see if prices do form an inverted head and shoulder pattern, that would mean they would have to come down to about 46.75. So right now I'd put in an entry order, let's call it 46.80 or let's call it 46.90, and place a stop again beneath the low of this candle here, which would be 46.30. So again, that would be long 46.90 with a stop at 46.30. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and not much has changed here. Again, still just looking for prices to come up and test the previous support line, which should now act as resistance, and that's about 59.25. The entry would be short again at 59.25 with a stop at 160, but prices are a couple hundred pips away from that, but this trade certainly could materialize this week, so we will keep our eyes on that level. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, you know, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on, you know, how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, you know, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there, you'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, you know, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should, you know, double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would, you know, suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.